Hey everybody, welcome back to another interview with an expert, a local expert at that. And we got some cool stuff we're going to talk to Alisha about, and all the things that she's doing, how she's really empowering a whole new wave of people to go into a path of real estate that may not be common to you, but it seems to be very lucrative.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm excited about this one. We've never done an interview with an expert on this specific topic. But before we get to that topic, we're going to kind of get to know Alisha a little bit, how she got started, where she came from, what made her decide to be a crazy investor like the rest of us, right? So we're going to do that right after this short break from our sponsors. So we'll be right back.
Hey guys, Tim Knox with Revolved Realty here. You know, our local real estate market is on fire, which means there's never been a better time to sell your home. Revolved Realty is a flat listing fee company, which means we can save you thousands when you list and sell your home with us. In fact, our average clients save over $3,000 in commissions and fees. To find out how much I can save you, give me a call today, 679-0704, or find me on the web at revolved.com.
All right, welcome back. Listen, join any of those sponsors if they can help your business. We would appreciate it, and they would too. And so, Alisha.
Hey, Zach.
So tell me. First off, thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would love to help any of your visitors or watchers, on viewers.
Whoever's on the other side of that.
Right.
You watching this
I don't
at
know
home?
if it's good morning or hopefully it's good evening. Maybe we got some international
They're hanging
people,
out by their pool watching us on their laptop.
Yep. I love it. Some training.
You know, most of the people who watch this always come to me and they say, Zach, I've watched your interviews with an expert, and it's always amazing to connect with the person that you're interviewing. And so, and that makes me realize, like, it's not the power of just educating people, but it's also the power of the story.
Yes.
Right? Like how someone overcame struggles, how someone left a job, you know, because my theory on this is that the person watching this could be on the fence, could be saying, should I not? Why should I? Why would this? But what if, but what if, right? And we all have what ifs. I'm sure you did too.
Oh, I still do.
Yeah.
I still do. Even as a local expert, right? I still have those. So.
And it's funny you say local expert.
Local expert. So.
I call her a local expert because, one, you've almost you have become that local expert on the topic we're going to end up at.
Absolutely.
Which, if you're all curious of what it is, it's all about Air BNB.
Yes.
So if you haven't ventured into that, or you're not curious, or you're curious about that, then stay with us. But people are leaning in on you because you've had so much success with it so quickly. And not just that, I watched a presentation she did, and you really have treated this thing as a business, and you've systemized it, and you've really looked at it from a point of view of, I don't want to be consumed by it, which we're going to talk about that and why some people get out of the Airbnb business. And I don't want to get too far into that, but I want to start with this. What was the crazy morning or crazy afternoon that you just got up and said, hey, I think I'm going to go get into real estate?
Well, I was actually the ripe old age of 18 years old.
Boom!
Yep. So I actually acquired my first real estate deal at 18.
18 years old.
And
you hear this?
Yes. Yeah. And I bought the dumpiest house in $1 million neighborhood. And my intention was to flip it. And that is what I did. It took numerous years to actually achieve that, between getting married and college and, you know, those what ifs that come up. Those things.
So 18.
Yes.
So
yes,
let me
I was
ask
18.
you, what in the world was going through your head at 18 that said, hey, I'm going to go buy a house and make money on it? I mean, did you watch a TV show? Did you read a book? Did you know somebody that was in real estate? Like, that's my point. Like, what made that?
What was the push?
Right.
Yeah. So my dad, he was a home builder, and he was an investor whenever I was a very young child. So before the age of 10, I got to see a lot of home building, rentals.
From being around your dad.
Yeah, just being with my dad.
So it was kind of put into you as a visual at a young age.
Yes, but they got out of it whenever I decided to get into it. So
Okay.
they had already liquidated their portfolio, but I actually took on the endeavor because I lived about an hour away from where I worked and went to school. And I said, I need a place to stay in between college and
Okay.
And so that was the goal with finding this property. It was $19,900 and it was a dump. And I thought, well, I could at least stay here and I could be working on it between college. And it totally didn't go that way. It totally did not go that way. I did not pick up a hammer. It was, but it was run down. And so I bought this property, and the day before I signed the contract on the hood of the car. I called my parents. I was like, I'm buying a house. And they're like, oh my gosh, you're going to ruin your credit.
Oh,
Don't do
funny.
And funny. I had borrowed $5 for gas the day before.
Well, that brings up another point then. Man. Where did you get the $18,000?
Right. So the money, I actually, on my way to sign this contract, I Googled what are owner financing options, and something came up. This beautiful term, it's called a balloon note.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, I'm going to buy time, right?
Yeah.
And so I got the owner on board to do a 1-year balloon note, amortized for 30 years.
So you didn't even have to come up with the 18.
No, I didn't. And my payments, because it was amortized at such a high term, it ended up being like less than $100 a month.
Oh my goodness.
Right? So I bought myself a year.
So you seller financed your first deal at $18,000 amortized so that you could fix it up and flip it.
Yes. And my goal was to do all that in 1 year, right? I did not. No. Oh my goodness. Come on. So, the year passed. I did knock down that loan somewhat. I got it down to $14,000. I was like, oh, I did so great. I'm 18.
Right.
And I thought I had done wonderful. I knocked off like six grand off of it.
That is
good. So I actually went to Eva Bank, one of our local banks. And they said, this property is so bad, we can't give you even a $14,000 mortgage. But we'll give you a construction loan that you can roll over into traditional once you actually
construction
finish it.
To perm.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. And so that was the route I took. I got them to pull the construction loan. Fortunate for me, I got a new job. I had transferred from the Off Steak as a waitress in Coleman, Alabama to Connor's Steak and Seafood. So I got a pay grade.
Which is an increase.
Yeah. And I actually paid off that mortgage that year. So
that's awesome.
The house sat free and clear. And I had a number of years to actually do the renovation.
So how long did it take you to renovate it?
Bought it whenever I was 18. I was about to be 19 whenever it was actually purchased. And the renovation started and finished within 4 months. It was coming up with a monetary sum to actually do the renovation.
Okay, so the actual work was 4 months,
yes.
But it was, and I was going to ask you that next. Yeah. Like on a house like that, obviously there was a lot of work to be done.
Oh, a ton.
So the length in which you bought it and sold it, 2 years, 3 years?
Oh, so from the time that I bought it to the time that it was sold was 6 years.
6 years.
Yep.
So the 6 year part is because it took 6 years for you to work, save money, put it into it. Work, save money, put it into it.
Well, my husband and I, we came up with a 2-year plan of, I had 3 general contractors go into the house because here I am. I'm ambitious. I'm going to get this thing done. And they brought me back 3 quotes of how much it would be to renovate the whole house. The lowest one was Greg Allred. And it was $53,000. So this became like the magical number. Like, how do we come up with $53,000, right? And so we made a 2-year plan, him bartending, me waitressing, how I could flip furniture on Craigslist. How can we save our income tax for 2 years? We actually bought a golden doodle and a snare poodle. We had 2 litters of very ethical puppies in our house.
So you could sell the puppies.
Yes, so we sold the puppies. And at the time, I was his girlfriend, but I convinced him to liquidate his IRA. Oh, yes. And with that promise came the fact that I promised to retire him. Yeah. And you know what? I did it. You did. In the end, it was done. Yeah. He's since went back to work.
This 6 year thing, that's that just makes me realize at the end of the day, you didn't let what ifs or the I don't haves or I can't or I haven't done yet get in the way. You said, look, we're going after this. We're going to make money on it. Right. If I got to sell puppies and furniture, I'm going to raise the money to finish this house out.
I didn't know any private
and then
money.
You ended up making, what was it, 80, 90?
93,000 was the actual profit.
Off of the deal.
Yes. So my check that came back to me after closing costs had been subtracted, I recently posted that because I found the picture in the cloud.
I saw that.
Yeah, it was $167,000, and
which is like $15,000 a year over 6 years.
Right.
That's my math brain.
Take it. It's not too bad. Not bad for a first deal.
So here's the thing, like guys, if you hear this is what makes this such an intriguing story, right? Is like we tend to in life think of everything we don't have, and that's the reason we can't do. Where you came at it from a completely different angle, and you said, look, if I don't have it, I'm going to figure it out.
I'm going to figure it out.
I'm going to go get it, and we're going to make money on this.
Failure was not an option to me.
So that leads me to another part to this. So that was a rehab. Your first rehab, you made as much as I lost almost on my first rehab.
That's bad. I heard about that.
So people say, man, why'd you keep going? Well, I wouldn't have all this if I didn't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Perseverance goes a long way.
I wouldn't be in real estate for 16 years. I mean, I think about that. I'm getting old. I trimmed my beard the other day and I saw gray hairs falling in the sink.
You're like, oh no.
But that 16 years, I've done so much, but it started with real estate, right? And then 12 years ago, I moved into education and started helping people. And kind of, I'm seeing you do the same thing on the Airbnb side, right? Like you're saying, hey, look, I've found something that I like, and you're very systemized about it, and you're good at it. But let's talk about that transition.
Okay. So
from rehabbing.
Yes.
What made you go from rehabbing to, in the last year or so, say, I think I'm going to go into this world of Airbnb?
Well, with rehabbing, be it I got very skilled at it. I was to the point where I could stack properties. So I was doing more than one property at one time.
Which is safe.
Yes, it is.
And you're a great designer.
Oh, thank you. But it was still a job. I had created an active income job. And like many investors, I was drawn to the idea of the inactive and or passive income. And I didn't quite know how to make that transition because I already had every reason to stay in flipping. I had crews, I had tools, I had trucks, bobcats, I had everything, right? And so I had every reason to stay in the business, but it actually kind of sparked with a meeting that you did back in Athens. You did it on data.
Yes.
On our economic research and data. And that really got the wheels to click in that there is something coming on the horizon, potentially. And after some more diligent research, I realized that the active investors and or wholesalers and flippers, they're the first ones to actually sink whenever the market starts to go down.
They go away quick.
Yes, they go away very quick. And I didn't want to be caught there.
Less competition.
Exactly.
But I understand your point.
Yeah.
You didn't want to get caught in that. So you were saying, hey, look, I want to get ahead of the curve.
Yes.
Not be the one going, oh, it got me.
I have to transition into something that provides cash flow instead of doing it once and getting paid once.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that was kind of the idea of the turning point.
Where Airbnb popped up.
Yes. Airbnb was just a, speck in the line of strategies. And I didn't necessarily run towards it at first, but I met a mentor, and his name is Al Williamson. And Al is actually out of California. And there's a ton of YouTube material on the gentleman. He is a professional in what he does, and I would highly recommend it.
Is
watching.
He in Airbnb? Is
Yes,
that what he does?
yes,
okay, great.
He is actively
what
in
was
Airbnb.
His name?
Al, A-L Williamson.
Williamson?
Yep, Williamson.
I'll have to look him up.
Yeah, he's on YouTube. There's a lot of information that he gives, and he kind of became a shining light. And he gave me a 15-day trial, I guess. He said he taught me the strategy. He told me a little bit about Airbnb. He said, I want you to go home, do your research, and I want you to acquire your first Airbnb, stage it, and have your first listing within 15 days.
Oh, wow.
And I said, wow, that's hard. He said, yeah, no one's ever done it, but I'm going to expect. I said, you realize I'm going to be gone 9 of those days to traveling in Mississippi and Virginia. Yep. And he said, well, you better figure it out. So it was.
So, drum roll. Did you?
I did. Ah! Yes, I did. Day 14. Right. And so, and his theory was, well, if this little pregnant girl out of Alabama can do it, anybody can do it, right?
That's awesome.
So,
you know, that's at the end of the day, what you just said is what I preach over and over again. It's not that anyone's more special than anyone.
No.
It's about seeking guidance. It's about seeking direction. Education, investing in yourself, like figuring out. Because here, at the end of the day, look, you're more intellectual smart on Airbnb than I am. Okay. I know it's out there. Yeah. But I have not spent the time. I have not gotten the people on
That's
my team.
what it is.
I haven't, right? I've been investing a lot longer than you have. Yeah. But when it comes to this topic, you're much more into. If I was to get a property and say this could be an Airbnb, I would call you.
Right, and that's okay. That's fine. I'm perfect.
I'd be like, Alisha, I think I got an Airbnb here.
I need some help.
Can I pay you to come hang out with me for an hour?
Right.
So, but my point to that is for people watching this, they're probably looking at this and they've seen it and they're like, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know how to start. I don't know where to go. I don't know this. It's about getting educated.
Right.
It really is. So I want to talk about how they can actually spend some more time with you with our new women thing.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Yes, sorry.
That's going to exclude you. But we'll probably have you do another one too. But here's my point. You got your first one done.
Yes.
Tell me the good in about 3 minutes. Tell me what you know you did right and what you did wrong and how you had to fix the wrong to make it better.
Okay. So for some basic examples, at first I did not actually, on the properties, this was a mistake that I just kind of had to grow from. Okay. I didn't have a lockbox, like a PIN code lockbox, as well as I didn't have an additional lockbox with a hard copy key in it. Yes. Yep. And so when new residents, they call me 1 o'clock in the morning, you know.
Can't find my key.
Yes. Another thing, I didn't actually make my rules quite strict enough in the beginning.
Now you have a whole board.
Yeah, now I have a bulletin board, and on that bulletin board are a lot of really key features that eliminate so many questions. That communication, that's a huge part of management, because people will ask you, what are the local activities? What's the local delivery phone number for this? Like, they can Google it, but they're going to call you. Trust me. They're going to call you. Yeah.
Especially if they feel like there's a bond there already.
Yes.
And if you're nice to them and you're responding to them, they are going to lean in on that.
But it becomes a lot of communication management, and they kind of expect that quick response. Yeah. And so the lockbox example.
Was one?
That's one. Yes. Another problem is I've had people like to renovate. People that they see the highly romanticized stuff on HGTV, and so you'll come back and all your furniture will be swapped around, and you know you're like,
blows me away.
What in the world? Yeah. There are a lot of little tips and tricks that I've kind of learned along the way. You want to leave the porch light on for them. You want to leave the gate open if there's a gate parking. Right. You want to leave that open, like if it's in the backyard or something. And then they notice the most tiny things, such as if you have shampoo that you provide for them, if it's got the clip lid and not the pump, the clip lid gets dirty. And so cleanliness is like the number one complaint. That's huge. Really? It really is cleanliness.
And you brought something up at a presentation. I got the ability to sit and watch you do, and you were talking about mattresses and wrapping the mattress.
So that was my very first complaint, was I had a stain on the mattress, and it wasn't that the mattress wasn't new. We actually had it on a trailer beside a grill, and the grill rubbed up against it, and so it left a soot stain. And so that was my first complaint, and I actually managed to get that not on my Air BNB ad or the review, but I put up an improvements list on that bulletin board.
Which kind of prevents people from...
Yes, so they get out that negative complaint or response actually on that list in the property and not on the review.
So that's awesome. I got two more things here I want to talk about.
Yeah,
Number
absolutely.
one, let's talk about money.
Money. Yes.
So if you buy a house, a normal house that fits for an Airbnb would rent for what?
$1,000.
$1,000 a month. So
for Airbnb or just as a rental?
I'm just saying, just a house that you would use for an Airbnb.
Okay, yes.
But normally, if you just put a renter in it and said, "Hey, look, here you go, rent this thing for a year," it would run about $1,000 a month.
Yes.
Now we take that same house and we move it into an Airbnb.
Yeah.
And taking considerations, days not rented, whatever the average days a month that it's not rented. What is a normal, or an average, I should say, income producing property for Airbnb? Same property that would rent for $1,000 would bring in how much in an Airbnb a month?
So you're going to expect about 2 to 3 times. So that same $1,000 a month property, and let's just go ahead and say it's a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, or 2-bedroom, 2 bath.
Okay.
Because the smaller the property is, actually the better the returns are, because people are, especially in Huntsville, and I'm kind of being isolated to the Huntsville and surrounding area market, but there's a website called airdna.co.
airdna.co.
Co. airdna.co. And that will actually tell you what areas you can actually collect what amount of pricing, what you can expect for occupancy rate, as well as what type of properties are the hottest listings there, right? Yeah. So you can get a lot of market data off that one site. But to answer your question, for that $1,000 a month traditional rental, if you fully furnished that property, which furnishings, if you are going with a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, 2-bedroom, 2 bath, you should expect to spend anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000. $5,000 would be closer to like a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, right?
Yep. So about $2,500 to furnish it.
Yep.
You get about 2 times the amount in rent. So roughly over 2 to 3 months in that property, you've regained all your investment.
You're done.
And then it's just
isn't that a wonderful return?
So that's what excites people about it.
Yes.
So now my second question, because I get people who bring this stuff to me all the time. Hey, Zach, why aren't you in Airbnb? Why aren't you in Airbnb? My rule of thumb is I'm very diversified already, right? I mean, I do rehabs, I do apartments, commercial, warehouse, I do private lending, I have notes. I mean,
he's killing it. We know.
I'm all over. So if the market turns, I'm not in the position that you're looking at, right?
Yes,
like I'm okay. Let it turn. Actually, I want it to turn because then 80% of all these investors go home, right?
And who's left standing, right?
It's the ones that have the cash flow coming in a month that can sustain themselves, which is what you're doing here. You're building cash flow.
I'm transitioning.
So
into that.
When I talk to some of these people, some of them have gotten in and gotten out. And I ask them always this. Well, they'll say, well, Zach, why aren't you in it? And I'll say, well, look, I'm good with what I have, right? Like I'm focused really on building my net worth, my my bottom line. I just haven't had the time to go spend to study and learn this. But I ask them, why are you still not in it? Because some of them get in and get out.
Yeah, well,
and the number one thing they tell me is they say, because it's like running a hotel.
Yes, and that can be a problem that you can set yourself up for, or you don't have to. So I have
how have you not done it?
How have I mitigated? And now those issues are traditionally the communication. They don't like constantly having to keep that open line of communication with each new guest. It's turnover rate.
Yep.
So
the cleaning
and maintenance. So your average turnover rate is probably every 2.5, 3.5 days, right? So that's a lot of in and out with
10
cleaning.
times a year or a
supplies.
Yep.
Who's running and getting those supplies, right?
Yep.
Who's getting new soap and all the other little things, toilet paper. And so because of that, that's why it feels like they're maintaining a hotel. So I start my Airbnbs and I get them a solid, at least a 10 5-star rating.
Okay.
10 reviews, 5-star. And a little tip on the reviews. you ask for a 5-star review.
I
Okay.
learned that a long
Let's
time
be
ago.
very direct about that. And how do I go about that without seeming pushy? I leave a little thank you card inside the Airbnb, and it says, "Thank you for choosing our Airbnb. It's a pleasure to be your host. Please enjoy a drink down at the tavern on us."
Here's a
And
gift card.
Yes, it's a $10 gift card. Yep. We'd love to earn your 5-star review. The end.
Okay.
Right? We kept it short and sweet. And
so you're really hands-on with them.
Yes, for the first 10.
Okay.
And what that actually rolls over to after I get the listing, I know the listing's been approved. Yep. All the kinks have kind of been worked out of the property because I've had 10 guests at least stay there. After that first month, I become a corporate housing rental.
So you switch it from Airbnb to corporate.
Now you can still have it on Airbnb.
All of your ratings.
Yes.
You have all your 5 stars. You've got your systems dialed in. And corporate isn't as high of a turnover. They could stay 4, 5, 6, 12 months.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the benefits of corporate housing, even though we're off topic a little bit.
No, I like it. It's all you have a path for it.
It's become a system for me.
Yep.
So some of the benefits of rolling those Airbnbs into actual corporate housing is the fact that now you're a 31-day plus rental. What does that mean? Standard landlord tax deductions. That's huge, right? Yep. Everyone loves that.
Yep.
Compared to the
And they're still paying 2 times?
Yes, they are. Yeah, and actually they're not paying at that time.
The corporate?
The corporation. And they're paying it up front. So they pay you in
6-month lease,
full.
they're paying you $12,000.
Yes. And it's been my experience that most people are coming into town for 3 to 4 months, really, not 6 months. But the turnover on that is much less. The communication's much less. The amount of supplies you're running to get. You've just removed all those issues. Awesome. Yet they're still paying 2 to 3 times face value.
So you obviously got so much to talk on this.
Yes, I know.
And I love this. I love somebody that has so much skill set in an area that I don't know, because I'm a curious cat myself. And I'm not saying I'll ever go into the Airbnb, but I'm happy to run into people that have figured it out.
Yeah.
But I like what you just said. It's not that you're just, I'm Airbnb. You also have a step up ladder, which is into corporate housing.
Yes.
So it's not like, I'm just going to do Airbnb, and if it doesn't work, I'm out. We're probably where a lot of these other people that walked away did.
They get stuck a little bit.
That's right, because they don't have systems. They're probably not, I don't go out and give gift cards, and I don't do this, Right. But I think you're saying, hey, look, I have a reason that I'm doing it this way to get to this
to get to a higher
which
point.
Corporate housing is much more. And I remember at Aria you saying that.
Yes.
You're like, I'm going into corporate housing.
Yes.
And now here you are.
And I've done
That's awesome.
I absolutely have.
Let me ask you this. 3 things. Number 1, I'd like to get you out to the Decatur area to talk on the topic.
Yeah, Miss Jill is tearing it up,
I'd love to get you to the Madison area to talk about it.
Okay.
Probably sometime beginning of next year. We're booked out already this year. But the Decatur area, if you guys aren't aware of this, is turning into an all-women's group. I know, guys, right? We're going to be competing with the women now, which like we already do. No, it's all good though. I think, and Jill made a good point when she came to me with this, was there's a lot of women that want to be in this, and she said to me, she said, Zach, they come up and talk to me, and some of them are timid, some of them are shy, and she's like, I think if we need to do this to help more women get empowered and get engaged, and I was all for it. I was like, yeah, let's rock and roll with it. So I'd love to have you book with Jill to come out.
Absolutely, yeah, and I will do that. And I'll get with her.
I'd love to get you to the Madison one so that all the rest of us can see it too.
Yeah.
But the third thing I was thinking about too is, and this might be a little bit down the road, but how would you feel about like doing a half-a-day class on this?
Oh, I think we could totally pull that off.
Right.
Make it where a lot of people would get some super beneficial information.
Come in and just kind of learn like the direction in which your guy said to you, go do this, this, and this over the next 15 days, you know? So that's 3 things I could see where we could help more people, right?
And I think that if I can do it in 15 days, anyone can do it in 15 days. Because, I mean, we pulled that together and I was out of town, right? I hardly ever call on my husband.
Here's the difference that I'm seeing with you, and the reason that I want to get more involved with you doing this is because you're not just talking Airbnb.
No, we're
You're
talking
saying-
about branching.
Yeah,
Let's
you're talking
take this
Airbnb,
bigger.
corporate housing,
Yes.
other markets. I mean,
Yes.
this is much broader and bigger than just an Airbnb model. This is an ascension ladder, really.
Absolutely.
So-
Yeah, this could scale into a long-term full
Oh, yeah.
business.
Yeah.
And the corporate housing, again, another additional benefit, it's quite recession-proof if you do your research.
Right. Target
Yeah.
the right companies.
Well, think about the corporations. The larger corporations are the last ones to fall. And what all
Yep.
do we have here in our Huntsville
Major
area?
corporations.
Military,
Yeah, major.
insurance.
Yep.
Right now, currently, there's a whole slew of home builders coming into town,
Oh, I know.
right?
Yeah.
So,
There was
all
a guy
all
the
kinds.
same night I saw you was talking about he had put a construction crew into a house that he had done, and he had a cool little method which he lease optioned the property and then Airbnb.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
all kinds of different ways. Well, guys,
So many
listen,
different.
Alicia, if they want to maybe send you an email and say thank you, they enjoyed your presentation, or
Yeah.
hey, I got a deal for you.
Hey.
where'd they get a hold of you at?
So the name of my company and my online profile is Home Resurrection, and at gmail.com, Home Resurrection. And my phone number is 256-595-2368. And that is my direct line, not the office. So
There you go.
if it's a lengthy conversation, maybe shoot me an email.
Right. Text me first.
Yeah, maybe me and my assistant will get back to you as soon as we can. So
I love it. Home Resurrection. What an amazing name.
Yep.
I totally love that name.
Well, thank you.
I had a friend in Florida and his company was called Home Remedy.
Home Remedy.
And
There
I
you go.
always
Yeah.
remember it because it was a house with a life ring around the house,
Yeah.
and the little house had a
Oh, gosh.
thermometer in its mouth.
Yeah.
Like it was such a catchy
That's
thing.
cute.
You
Yeah.
know, Home Remedy.
Memorable.
Yep. So, guys, you heard it here. You heard it first right here. Alisha Merriman. Did I say it right?
You got it.
All right. Airbnb moving into corporate housing. I think that's really the story here is not just Airbnb, but Airbnb into corporate. So,
Right.
hey, watch this, share this with people. Let everybody else know. Let them get to know Alisha. And hopefully we'll have you out to one of her trainings that we'll get her to do
Yeah.
with the RIA. So,
Absolutely.
anyways, we'll see you guys on another one. Stay tuned.